Okay, so another quick one is 9.4. We're just adding a few more details to what we've been doing with describing the neighborhood. At first, we did the generic stuff, and then we added a couple more details, and then we got diverted by time and telling the time, and now we're back and just adding a few more little tweaks to it. Really, it could all just be one long unit, but it's better that we broke it up because then you can go have a drink in between. All right, so to start out, this is describing your neighborhood. This is actually, I think, number two. And oh 9.04. Okay. The goals of the chapter is practicing the neighborhood describing, so two F's, describing your neighborhood, including a couple more things. And some of these we've already done. We just want to highlight them so that they get a little bit more comfortable. Up to now, so from the past to now, up to now. You can also sign this from that point on or from now on. So from then on, from that point on to the future. Now, these are combination of vocab and grammatical structures. So I'm setting them in the grammatical structure so I can show you what they look like first. And then when you see them in the videos, it'll make sense. So we know area. We've done parking area or sports area, store area, restaurant with an R, restaurant on either side, like you're wiping the corners of your mouth, restaurant area, shop area. Now we're just saying area looks like Mayberry. I don't know. So looks like. We've used this before when talking about people. Right. Looks like, right? So now we're talking about a neighborhood. Area looks like. Car looks like. Jacket looks like. Purse looks like. Area, neighborhood looks like. So again, we're just taking something from a past chapter and putting it in. Now, nearby, close to. So it's not touching, it's nearby, right? Close to the store or close to the gas station. Park. We can also count 4 blocks, right? 4 streets. So we boom, 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 boom. We know it's house. It could either be 4 buildings would tend to be this building, building, building. 4 houses, boom, 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 my friend. Or streets. Blocks. I tend to do street, like street. It's more clear that way. You can count. That's a bit obsessive. Miles, we fingerspell. 5 miles. But here's the thing. I find that most people in sign language don't refer to miles. We refer to time. How far is it? Walk about 20 minutes. From class to class. 10-minute walk. Or drive 20 minutes. 20-minute drive. Okay. Miles, in some ways, it's too specific. Because, it could be 5 miles away. In LA, it still takes 30 minutes to an hour to drive 5 miles. LA was the most awful traffic I've ever lived in. And you could be, I could never be an interpreter in LA because you can't get anywhere unless you have a personal jetpack. And even then the air's too, anyway. So we did nearby, next to, right? Next to. So right next to the next building. Across from, it's like opposite. Opposite is this. Across from here, my house, across the street is McDonald's. So across, and there's a kind of arc over. Just don't go. It's like you're jumping. And then the last two grammatical things are one is rhetorical questions that we ask knowing we're intending to answer ourselves. So we're not actually asking. So what? So I moved to this house. Why? Because I like the neighborhood. So we use rhetorical questions in English. Not as often. We're pretty direct, but it certainly breaks things up and makes things more interesting for the viewer. So there's why I did this. Why? Eyebrows up, I'm asking a question, and I'm going to answer. And notice that that's a different, the eyebrows do the opposite. Why? Because it's a rhetorical question. I'm setting up a new topic, and then I'm answering it. So it's a kind of weird one to get used to. We've used some rhetorical questions. I've coached you on that in previous chapters. Here's another application of it. I went to the store and bought what? Here's the answer. I went to do this. Why? This. Okay. And then the last thing is, if you're doing a little bit more conditional description of your neighborhood, there's many of this type of people. There's a few of this type of people. There are many. Few deaf, few, or several, right? I find that if you do it with 3 fingers, it's smaller than if you do it with 5 fingers. If that makes sense. So I tend to think few and several. Many, none. Some, like you're carving out a piece. Some, oh, buddy. He's so old. Anyway, so many, and it comes forward, not up. Up is how many, forward is many. Many, most, and you brush your knuckles up against the other knuckles. So, no, great. You are not allowed to go out. Cats don't go outside. Most, some, few, several, and none. Okay. Oh, you can sneeze at me. Doing it for your own good, Kit. I'm sorry. All right. So there's a few vocab, and I'll include the GIF slideshow like I always do. But panoramic view, we tend to do this, like, oh, beautiful. So it's 2 sets of eyes looking and taking a nice slow pitch. It could be, whoa, up on top of, a ridge looking down into a valley, something like that. Sunset, sunrise, we've already seen sunset, sunrise. And you can get fancy and go, like, sun was setting and the light was beautiful, or the sun was rising and it woke me up miserably. The tell what your neighborhood is like, tell what you like. These are just the same things we talked about. My neighborhood looks like, my neighborhood is like. I like what? I like the restaurants. I don't like what? Everything closes. Everything closes at 7. I want to go out and party. Okay. Nearby, you could be specific. 1 block away, right? 1 street away. Up to now, we've done, you could be specific with that. And nearby. I don't need to repeat that. So, there are a couple of ones that we see examples of within the slideshows. So we know the narrative outline. I put it in here again just because we're building on that same one. I'd recommend trying some new ideas in there. And again, here's her story. We saw that one. at the end of the last chapter, at the end of 9.1, I believe. Plans. So here are examples. In Lauren's, she uses rhetorical questions. Not tons of them, not overdoes it, but watch for them. And here's just a new story. And if you want, sit with the narrative outline and write down all of her points. She's actually going to be in an upcoming Marvel movie. And I forget what she's playing, but I'm not into the comics, so I don't know. But anyway, here are examples of the rhetorical questions and how to do them. And then the vocab list, and then I will include in here all of the videos from the unit. But again, it's just a short one. They're adding a couple of things, how to use rhetorical questions and how to be a little bit more specific with one. You can fingerspell block, but I think one street over is much more clear and much more ASL. So that is 9.4.